Hi everyone. So last week, Fiona Bruce became the new chair of Question Time, and full disclosure, I like Fiona Bruce. She was once in an elevator with Jeremy Clarkson on Top Gear, and Jeremy Clarkson said she had rather a nice bottom, which I thought was quite sexist, but I probably agree. I wasn't going to do a video on it though, on the episode that I saw last week, even though it was very interesting. I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait 4 or 5 weeks and do an overview of the whole thing, and just to see where the Question Time has actually changed, because obviously there were massive problems with it. And what I've seen in the last 2 weeks can be described quite literally, as I put there in the title, as the good, the bad and the ugly. First of all, I want to get to the good, and the good revolves around a couple of things. First of all, the good. Last week, Fiona Bruce, and I know some people are not going to like that assessment, but to be quite honest, last week she was excellent. I thought for a first episode I thought things are going to change very quickly, or she's going to get the boot, put it that way. She was challenging with the people on the panel. She didn't let anybody off the hook from answering at all a question. If somebody was asked a question, she pressed them if they didn't give an answer, which I thought she was excellent. She was tough with everybody last week, everybody equally. She was tough with them, and she didn't stand for any waffle either. You know how politicians like to waffle. She didn't stand for any waffle, which I thought was really refreshing. So that was one of the good things I thought from last week, was Fiona Bruce's first appearance. It was excellent. It really was. The next good thing on that show is this guy, Ramesh Ranganathan. I'm just joking. It's Nish Kumar, of course, and he will find that funny if ever he sees that. That's the second time I've seen him on Question Time, and the first time I saw him on Question Time, I thought it was so good. I made a video about it because he was talking about Yemen and Saudi Arabia and the morality of it all, which nobody does talk about on the TV, but he did, which is really unsurprising if you watch his show on BBC called The MASH Report. It is probably the finest comedy political show on television. I really can't stress it highly enough. There were some great comedians on there. Ellie Taylor, he's one of my favourite comedians on sort of the mainstream, and he does a great job. Like I say, the first video I saw him on, the first time I saw him on Question Time, I did a video about him, and this time he was on this week as well. Last week as well, the first show with Fiona Bruce, and he stole the show once again. Let me just show you this, because I thought this was excellent. Remember this, they were all talking about Brexit at the time, about what was going to happen with the deal, whether the deal was going to get through. And this is what Nish responded after they had all had their little talks. It was 20 minutes in before he said his first thing, and this was how he addressed the studio, which I thought was fantastic.
But Nish, as a non-politician, along with Millie on this panel, what's your view from what you've just heard? You'll be Prime Minister.
I'll do Brexit. I'm not a million miles away from being Nigel Farage or Boris Johnson, in that I'm a tedious blowhard who makes occasional appearances on comedy panel shows. And I've offered absolutely no detail on how to execute Brexit, right? Because isn't the problem that we still don't know what Brexit is? We still have absolutely no idea what it involves. Every time we try and pin it down to a definition, it seems to slip away from us again. We're told it's about returning parliamentary sovereignty. Yet, when the Speaker intervenes to, in my view, return sovereignty to Parliament, we're told it's about returning sovereignty to the will of the people. When we're asked if we could have a second vote for the people or a general election, we're told it was not about the will of the people, it was about the will of the people that one time, and now the people need to shut up for the rest of their lives.
Are you keeping up with all this?
It is mind-bending how little detail anyone who has been tasked with delivering Brexit, or more importantly, anyone who campaigned for Brexit, has offered at any point. And the country is kind of ticking over into an apocalypse. And this is the third time I've been on this programme in 12 months, and this is the same thing. I am trapped just in an endless loop. I feel like I'm in a remake of Groundhog Day directed by Ken Loach. It's just round and round and round. It's never going to end.
Let's hear from all of that.
Now, I don't know whether you like him as a comedian or not, but I think he encapsulated the mood last week perfectly. That really was how we all felt, and that was the wrong slide. Sorry about that. But I want to go on because it wasn't the only thing he said on that. Now, there was a columnist for the Times on there who made the case to bring back stop and frisk, which I'm sure you'll agree is a pretty racist policy. And this is the way Nish responded. I'm hoping I've got this queued up correctly.
I am so angry with the two responses from this panel. I'm angry with James because he said he wasn't going to politicise this question, and then immediately said it's Sadiq Khan's fault.
No, I don't.
And I'm furious.
It is ultimately the most political of issues, and so therefore we have to.
And I'm furious with Melanie that she would sit in defence of stop and search, which is a racist policy, and that she would attack the McPherson reports and its attempts to drive institutional racism out of the police force. I'm absolutely, as a Londoner, I am absolutely incensed and disgusted by both of those responses.
Just a point here, every time Nish spoke on that panel, every time he got an ovation like that. He was on point with everything. Politicians don't talk like him. Somebody needs to have a word with him. He'd be good as an MP, but I think his comedy career is going too well.
The one thing I want to talk about is Karen McCluskey in Glasgow and the systems that they put in place. Having spent time in Boston and looked at how that city worked to reduce its gang and weapon-based violence.
Now, the reason he's bringing that up there, just for context, is they were also talking about the amount of knife crime going up in London and the gang violence. And what he's brought up there is McCluskey, and just listen to how he dismantles, how he frames this. He doesn't frame it like the politicians do. And if the politicians frame things like this, people would quickly get on board. Quickly.
She had a kind of three-pronged approach, a zero-tolerance police policy, but also, and crucially, there was a focus on creating economic opportunity within these communities. They want to talk about with charities that work to sort of put victims in touch with people who are involved in gang violence, to kind of build empathy within the communities. But ultimately, this is all about economics. You have to provide opportunity, funding and resources for young people, right? It's not just cuts the police numbers. It's not just cuts to police numbers. We are talking about a £736 million cut between 2010 and 2017 on youth services across the United Kingdom. How do you think that is not going to have an impact? And it's disgusting that you two would sit, politicise the issue and sit in defence of a racist policy.
So there you go. They all had their say before him on this gang violence in London. They all did. They all had their say, and they all waffled, all of them, cleverly included. He was the biggest waffler on there. He'll be in my next little segment. But that was the good I saw. Fiona Bruce was excellent. Nish Kumar was again. He stole the show. He should be on there every single week, as far as I'm concerned. He was that good. That was the good. To support truly honest, independent journalism like this, please go to patreon.com/Gordon Dimmack. You can become a patron of mine for as little as $1 a month, and every dollar helps. I cannot stress that enough. We can't do this without you. Also, you can use any of the avenues on your screen right now to donate, or below. There are many of them. Please make sure you're subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day, so please make sure you are, and click that bell as well so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. Thanks very much for your support. Until next time, peace and take care.